Hello, guys. Um, Welcome back to the Africa once again. So, as we have already mentioned, so in today's video, we'll be talking about the immigration debate once again between um, South Africa and Zimbabwe. So, in today's video, today's live session, I would appreciate if we could have people joining in the live stream. So, yes, that would be nice if we could um, do that. So, yeah. So, yesterday we had a very good discussion with those that managed to join in the stream. And we discussed about some of the issues that are present. And yeah, so it'll be very nice if we could have more people joining in. Um, I'll just wait for people to join in and see if we have people joining in today. Hey guys, yeah, like we have mentioned, so we're just waiting for everyone to join in before the live stream starts. Okay. Hello, hello. So feel free to indicate that you'd want to be part of the discussion. So I can just send out the link, then we can um, join in the discussion. Okay. So feel free to join. Um, so here's the link um, below. Okay. So you can use the link that I have sent out to join in. So we still haven't had like people. So today I just don't want to be the one talking. I would love for people to participate and say whatever that they would like to say, and also feel comfortable to just say hi on the chat. So I can know that you are there or whoever that is there. So it'll be nice. So yeah, once again, feel free to join. Feel free to join. Yep. Um, So, hello, guys. Like I've been saying hi to everyone once again. I'm continue going to say that. Um, so today is basically also some sort of like a continuation from yesterday's talk, where we spoke about the situation between South Africa and Zimbabwe. But then in today's case, I would also, like I've mentioned when the live stream started, is that I would appreciate if people could also join in the link so they can give their own input. So, yesterday, what we covered, um, just a little bit of a breakthrough. So, we spoke about like a bit about Pan Africanism, and I just mentioned my own idea about it. So basically, I was just speaking alone yesterday and addressing the comments that people had. But like I said, today it will be even more nice if you could come and share your own view on the videos. So just follow the link that I sent in the chat, and it will send you straight to the live stream, so we can have a more fruitful conversation, which will make it even more interesting when we listen to other people's voices and not just a single voice alone. And another topic that we also spoke about, so we spoke about like Pan Africanism. Um, okay, what else did we speak about? We also spoke about like the hospital situation that happened, of like how we think immigration affects the healthcare system in South Africa as well, and of which this was based on the video that trended, I think a few weeks ago, like when a few pregnant women were on the floor without hospital beds. So basically, that was the driving force towards the video, and we spoke about that. We also spoke um, about whether illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants get treatment at the hospital, of which yes, we mentioned that yes, they do get treated, and that I also mentioned that I don't think they like healthcare workers are allowed to report immigrants, whether they are documented or not. However, I do believe that they are allowed to report criminals. Yeah, that's what I think. If yeah, not like immigrants per se as criminals. No, I'm talking about like other criminals, for example, like maybe people who um maybe attacked someone and they got injured in the process, like such people. That's what I was referring to. Um, and another thing that we also discussed around that topic is whether just people born in South Africa that are non-South Africans, whether they get free to, I mean free citizenship just because they were born here. And we covered that no, in South Africa, I don't think it works like that. Um, I think you have to meet certain requirements, not just you being born in the country. You also have to meet certain standards, of which I haven't dived deep into that because I myself also don't have much knowledge about that. And yeah, and another thing that we spoke about that I honestly liked was the fact that we Southern African people actually have a similar culture, not necessarily completely the same, but we have a similar culture, and our history also brings us together at some point, and that compared to us wanting to integrate with everyone else, we can start at home, of which by solving the internal affairs within our own countries first before trying to merge everyone else. Because now, if we are trying to get people of different cultures completely to um, to be one in a way, it will be more difficult compared to by starting with the people that we have currently. So that's what I believe, that if we could start by integrating within ourselves and learn that within like our borders or like the neighboring countries, then that's when we can start thinking about the whole of Africa at large. So So another thing that like topic basically that I want us to cover is so another thing that we spoke about is um, yeah, basically that's just the few things that we spoke about, and then the topics that are really crucial for us to discuss about, of which is the one that is bringing divide within the African continent, and not just that, within like South Africa and Zimbabwe, because since this live stream is just based on them, and yeah, but then we can go more broad. I just wanted to for us to focus on Zimbabwe for today, and then we can, yeah, add like discuss about just immigration in general. But it would be nice if we could just do that. So it will be, yeah. So other topics, like I've already said, that would be good for us to discuss because they're very important as they affect us, and they are delaying our progress as Africans, as South Africans, as Zimbabweans, as everyone else, basically. So for us to be able to move forward, we need to come to a consensus and work on that. And another thing that I also mentioned during the live chat was that um, I believe for us to be able to tackle this is also to like encourage our people to vote. I remember when there were elections in Zimbabwe, I think in March, there was a very low voter turnout. It was so not so comfortable at all. But I'm so happy that CCC um, turned out victorious because I want to see Zimbabwe great again. I'm hoping to see a better Zimbabwe. So we all need this, and obviously even with us as South Africans, let us vote. And I'm just hoping a different party wins so we can see what they have to offer. So, yeah, other topics basically that I would want us to discuss is the difficult topic of xenophobia. Yes, whether South Africans are xenophobic because, well, that's what well, majority of the media is pushing. I want us to discuss about that and try to, look at both sides of the stories and see how things are actually. Okay, then we have, okay, the situation of truck drivers, because there was also a viral video where truck drivers were saying that South Africans should not cross into like their respective countries as well. And then South Africans also saying that, well, they want South Africans to be driving South African trucks as much as either people are driving trucks from their own countries, and they also want to do the same thing in South Africa. And then another one is like just the borders themselves, and let us discuss about that as well as the security there and how we think we can actually move about this. The reason why I feel like it's very crucial for us to discuss about this is because these things are gaining momentum. The more we discuss about them, um, the more then we can come with a solution, and the more we can find a way to go about this and help each other. So hi Obi. So yeah, and then okay, then what else? And then another thing that we can also talk about is the transfer of skills within the African continent. And basically, in this case, since we're focusing on the Southern African region, so we can also discuss about how we can help each other with the transfer of skills. Because I feel like that's also one of the ways that we can be able to help each other so that not just a certain group of people will migrate to one place or vice versa, so that we can have like an interchange of like skills where we have like South Africans going to other countries and giving them their own skills, and vice versa, basically. So that way there'll be more job creation, because now if people are gaining more skills than going back home to use the skills that they gained, obviously there will be more opportunities present. And obviously that as a in the long run would what's this, improve the situation that's currently there. So okay, I can see Sean joined in the conversation. So yeah, you can say something, Sean. Hi, Sean. Okay, so yeah, I guess Sean doesn't have anything to say currently, but yeah, just everyone can feel comfortable to join in the chat. I just sent it. I mean the link on the what's this, on the chat, so you can just follow the link in order to get into the live stream. And yeah, like I say, feel comfortable to give your own view. Um, yeah, and another thing that I want to say that I could have said from the beginning of the video is that would also like to wish Zimbabwe a happy Independence Day. Zimbabwe is turning like 42 now, so a happy Independence Day to them. And we can also use this day to build our countries, to make sure that we get to a better Africa. So yeah, basically that's just that in the like long run in a way. And hopefully this will also be some sort of an encouragement for our Zimbabwean brothers and sisters to be encouraged to vote, um, in order to like for us to kick out this brutal regime. And like I've already mentioned, I've said this multiple times, to get rid, to find a new government as well for South Africa as well, because we need change, we need improvement in our government. And for us to do that in a democratic country, or in democratic countries, that's through voting. So, Obi, so on the topic of South African xenophobic, there's a few people who are xenophobic towards immigrants, but South African on large scale, they are not xenophobic. I do agree. I do agree that South Africans, I don't think South Africans are xenophobic. I'm not saying this because I myself am South African, but I genuinely don't think so. Because I've already mentioned this, that um, we have, obviously, in every country, we have people who feel in a certain way. I feel like what's happening currently in South Africa is more of people reacting because the government doesn't want to take charge. And we all know that when the community takes charge, things get out of hand. I feel like that's what's happening in South Africa. I've never honestly came across a South African like looking for people like, okay, I'm just going to look for like people who are not South African and I'm going to attack them just like that. I've never seen that, and I've never even heard of it. And I feel like the media is pushing a very negative narrative, and it's building even more divide within our people, because when we make such claims amongst ourselves, then we build more hate towards each other. And it's not the case. It honestly isn't the case. I don't think it's the case. So, yeah, I don't think so. And so, if you guys missed any other thing that I mentioned, we also mentioned about the situation that was trending with the like the pregnant women lying on the floors, and how it was trending that, well, foreign nationals are putting a strain on the healthcare system in South Africa. And I also covered this in the previous live stream, where I mentioned that obviously it's not all foreign nationals who are putting a strain on the healthcare system, because we have foreign nationals who are paying tax. And I would believe that those who are probably putting a strain on the healthcare systems are those that are undocumented. The reason why I say this is because since they are undocumented, they won't be part of the budget. So if you can't plan for certain people, or you're not even aware certain people are coming in, or the number of people that are coming in, how will you be prepared to cater for them? So I feel like the only ones that are putting a strain on the healthcare system are those that are undocumented because they can't be planned for or budgeted for. Yeah. So, and another crucial topic again that we can also look into is the topic about what's this about the low skilled jobs. I think that's also very important for us to discuss because we all know that currently South Africa has like one of the highest unemployment rate, of which we also know that even our neighboring countries are also experiencing the same thing. However, South Africa is bad. It's the situation here is really bad. Excuse me, it's really bad. So yeah, and for those who are joining us once again, feel free to use the link that I sent in the live stream on the chat. Yeah, on the live chat for you to be able to join in and give your own opinion on what you think about the situation that's currently here and the situation that's affecting our people. So yeah. And another thing that I also highlighted that I want us to actually go through that we didn't get a chance to cover yesterday is the situation about whether um, foreigners are the ones that are responsible for crime in South Africa. I don't want to like mention much about this by myself. I would want like a positive engagement from people, and I would want us not to um, use like emotions and be very emotional. However, let us like just dive deep into this situation and discuss about whether we think this is the case or not, and if so, why? What makes you think that way? And if not, what makes you not think that way? Um, yeah, and then other things that we can also discuss about basically is also just the stereotypes around all like our people basically. Because I won't lie to you, we South Africans also um, have stereotypes about people outside South Africa as much as non-South Africans also have stereotypes about us, and we need to discuss about those things as well, especially when such things are pushed like in very sensitive times, and then they are fueling even more division, they are fueling even more hate amongst us, and we don't need that. So it's very crucial for us to have these conversations because honestly, I am worried that things will get even more out of hand, and we need to handle this now while we are able to. Yeah. Um, let's see. Um, mm, okay, so I just got like a comment elsewhere. I'm just going to go through it. I don't know if the person is on the live chat. I'm just not going to mention the name for now. So so this was basically from a video that I did about a Zimbabwean journalist who came like on the national news television, basically. I think so, ENCA to be specific, where he said like something contrary to what every other journalist has been saying. So basically, it was with the Elvis Nyati situation, where everyone was saying that South Africans are xenophobic, and he came out and he said something completely different, of which that was very shocking. And for the fact that someone said that, it made me want to think more like what could actually be happening. Could it be completely true? Could it not? But then that's when I also reflected that um, there's always some truth in a lie, and there's also lies in, like, basically, yeah. I'm not going to make sense if I could say something further than that, but then yeah. Um, and then so basically, this is what he said when everyone was saying that South Africans were xenophobic. He came out and said something contrary to that, and he said that he doesn't think that South Africans are xenophobic, which was very shocking. I honestly didn't expect this, especially how the media was just portraying everything and how every other journalist that I came across was saying like just bad things, and they were reporting on one side and not just trying to look on the other person's side and report on that. So let me just go through what he said on the comment section here. Um, so he says that said about okay, the sad thing about us black people, we are our own failures. Selfishness is our own peril. This thing that we must do away with borders will never work for generations to come. We are very quick to point finger and forgetting how many fingers are pointing back to us. Many Zimbabweans will not agree with what this guy is saying. So somehow, I also do agree with what he's saying that we like pointing fingers at each other all the time. We don't sit down and reflect on the real matter of the situation. We like all the time, obviously, as humans, we are very like we are emotional beings. But then for us to put fairness in a situation, there has to come like to a time where you pause and you reflect on whatever that you're saying in order to find out whether what you're saying is actually the real truth that is there, and not just you reacting to your own emotions. And then, yeah, another thing that he mentioned is that the thing about open borders will not work. For now, I also don't believe that the open borders will work when we're looking at this current situation that's here. So the reason why I say this, like even if you look at countries like Rwanda, where they themselves say that they are more open to like having refugees from Africa, they are welcoming and whatnot. I was so shocked um, when an article was released stating that their government officials or their government is saying that they do not want refugees from their neighboring countries. And one would question if we use the emotional stand to attack Rwanda, would question that are they xenophobic? Why don't they want their neighboring countries? Why do they say they don't want their neighboring countries? I thought when it comes to like refugees and asylum seekers, you usually go to a neighboring country. I thought that's just how it works. And why is it that suddenly now we have this? So yeah, I can see we have Sean once again. I don't know if Sean wants to say something because last time he just yeah. So Sean, you can go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Sean.
Okay. I just saw your space on YouTube. I was actually going through YouTube and I actually got attracted by the topic and I joined
Mhm.
in. Um, I want to say a few words actually
Mhm.
regarding the issue of South Africans accusing foreign internationals of taking jobs for them.
Okay.
I think this statement it's really like it's not true and it doesn't make sense. It can't be true because even if we do take all the foreign nationals out of South Africa, I don't think we'll have these 14 million jobs that South Africans need. So it doesn't make sense. Um, I think powerful people, if we can actually look into it, you might find out powerful people in South Africa are actually driving the attention away driving the attention of South Africans away from the real issue or the real cause of unemployment in the country and pointing fingers at foreigners. Because if you can look, the leader of Dudula operation, this was the same guy who was protecting infrastructure, was protecting malls in Soweto. Uh, the next thing after protecting the malls, the next thing he points out to foreign nationals. So clearly, he's saying to South Africans, no, this is not the problem. The problem is foreign nationals who are taking your jobs. So, of which it's not true. Yes.
Okay. So, um, when it comes to that, so at some point, there is a point where you can say that, yeah, not all foreign nationals are taking their jobs. But like I say, there's always a bit of truth in like everything that is said. Not necessarily everything, everything. What I mean by this, for example, we have seen news lately, like just after Dudula went out, we have seen news lately where like basically most of these jobs that they are referring to are the minimal jobs, of which like the entry level jobs that like the struggling people are basically striving for, I would say. So jobs like farming, security, cashiers, and whatnot. And we have seen news lately coming out saying that like these employers they prefer employing outsiders compared to South Africa, of which somehow this confirms the part of the truth that has been said by them. It's not the complete truth, obviously. It's part of the truth, so it is true to some extent. It's not
Yes, I
every
understand
foreign
that. But
national.
if you can look, who's employing the foreign nationals?
That's the
So
question. That's the
that's the
problem
person to
again.
blame, and
Mhm.
the Labor Department, because the Labor Department regulates the employment and the labor industry in SA. So I think the problem here it's the employers and the Labor Department. Those are the people to blame for these issues that we have right now.
Mm. I do agree with that. But I also have another question for you. Because what you're saying is completely true. I admit it's true. They are to blame because it's their job to make sure that they regulate whatever that's happening in the labor system. But then they are not doing what they are employed to do. So basically, um, what's this? So what happens when they're not doing what they're supposed to do, basically? So what do you think the people should do in that regard? Should they sit back and be like, okay, we are forcing you to do this, and then you're not doing it? I don't know if I'm saying
I
this
think
quite well.
as long as our government doesn't act on this, we'll keep seeing organizations such as Dudula coming up and taking up space because people are actually tired of the government not doing their job. So obviously, you know the culture of South Africa. We do actually protest and like we are outspoken actually. So operation like organizations such as these will come up and will continue until the government takes steps to resolve these issues because this is really an issue in SA. I think South Africans are really frustrated with the current economic situations, and the first person they're going to take their frustrations on, it's definitely going to be the foreigners who live amongst them. And I think when it comes to Zimbabwe too, Zimbabweans and South Africans, they are really connected because if you check Zimbabwean who comes to SA, they settle with the locals in the community.
Mm,
So we are connected with these people. So yeah, like that's my take on that.
yeah. So when you mentioned that we South Africans are connected with Zimbabweans, I completely agree with that. Um, for example, even in the previous session we had yesterday, I did mention that, even in like a small friend group, the likelihood of finding a Zimbabwean within that group is very high. And that
Yes.
just shows how much integrated we are with Zimbabweans. That's why I'm saying that I think it's very important for us to have these conversations in order for us to come up with like a proper solution to this thing. Like you say, that if nothing is acted upon, people are going to react. And when people react, things get out of hand. And that's what we're afraid of. We don't want it to get even worse than it is, because it seems like it may gain momentum because we are attacking each other instead of having fruitful conversation and reflecting on the real situation that's there and finding something like a solution that will work for all of us.
And another thing, I think our government, instead of trying to hear out these organizations, listen to them, sit down with them, and hear their issues, they're always trying to like block them or like isolate them as if those issues are not really important. They are important. I think our government needs to listen to. Obviously, most foreigners don't like this operation to do that. I think most South Africans also don't like it. But you have to listen to them. There's nothing we can do. We have to listen. They're part of South Africa. They're also South Africans. So we have to listen to their concerns.
I admit. And I feel like them actually like alienating the communities that are actually coming out is actually even fueling the situation even more,
Exactly.
because now they would want to prove a point. That's why right now, for example, South Africans have been saying that, okay, foreign nationals are the ones committing crimes. And then as a result, what do we see? We see, like, when you go on the news, the only thing that you see being reported is like, okay, we found this person. They are non-South African. They committed this type of crime. And obviously now people are fuming even more. Like, yeah, we are right. Can you see this person was caught? This other person was caught. Of which, like I say, there's always an element of truth in what is being said. And then if we alienate people and like, no, okay, you guys are vigilante group and we don't want to listen to what they're saying, then it's more like it's going to get even more violent because they'll feel like, okay, we are not being heard. So since they're not willing to
Um,
listen to us, what can we do?
I think when it comes to crime, crime is crime, guys. I don't think we have to say Zimbabweans or Nigerians or Mozambicans are committing crime in SA. Even South Africans are committing crime. And if I'm sure if we can check the stats, it's South Africans who are committing crime more than foreign nationals. So I think it's wrong to say to like categorize foreigners as people who commit crime. Yes, there are people, foreigners who commit crime in SA, but that doesn't mean we should just I don't know, racialize this crime thing or
Mm. I admit when it comes to that. I think the reason why this is pushed even further is that the government is not paying attention to these things. And so, for example, the reason why I think they're pushing it even more and it's gaining momentum is because whenever they complain that a certain thing happened, they are not taking action. What else do they do? For example, the police, of which yes, they are to blame as well. They would rather collect bribes, of which we know this is very common in South Africa. It's so sad. Um, like the corruption is so bad. It starts from grassroots level up until to the top, and of which it's not helping the situation at all.
yes, I think all the problems we actually facing, it's the result of the government not acting on certain issues until they become so big that South African actually start protesting and they start this xenophobia. South Africans are not xenophobic. They're not xenophobic. It's just those few people who take the advantage of the current situation. And so Africans think we're xenophobic, but it's not true. South Africans are the most kindest people. Um, Yeah, so we're not xenophobic, guys.
Yeah, I also agree. We are not xenophobic at all, and whatever, like a lot of situations that are happening is just it's fueled by something that happened there. It's not necessarily a xenophobic action where people just decide to mobilize against foreign nationals, like attacking them just because they are foreign nationals. They are attacking them for another reason, not related to just them being
It's
foreign
just pure
nationals.
criminality. It's just
Most
pure crime.
definitely,
You shouldn't even say it's xenophobia. It's just criminality.
I
Um,
agreed.
uh,
And another thing when it comes to that, since South Africa has according to the 2011 consensus, like it has, I mean census, it has a population of about like 57 million people like then. And obviously you can't just say 57 million people or close to 60 million people are xenophobic. I've never seen quite like that large number of people attacking people just like that. You know,
if
they just
South
see a
Africa is
small.
xenophobic, if South Africans are xenophobic, there would be no foreigners in South Africa right now.
There wouldn't be. There
There
wouldn't be.
wouldn't be.
How?
If like
Yeah.
the entire population is xenophobic, it's just a few people who take advantage of the situation. Remember, like if we could take it back from last year, July, in the arrest of former President Zuma, it turned into something else because people saw an opportunity to commit crime and they actually did commit crime. So there are certain people who are waiting for that just small opportunity,
Opportunity
small
to
window, and they
strike.
go in.
Mm, that's true. I admit. And yeah, and you know the funny thing is, one thing that I have noticed is that South Africans, especially like Black South Africans, they gain a lot of attention when like they do certain things like yeah, for example, such things as in like looting and whatnot, such things are more newsworthy. Anything that puts South Africans in a bad position, I don't know how to say it, is newsworthy. And another thing that I
That's
also think
because it
that
sells. That's because it sells. Bad image, it always sells. I think we as South African, we've also created a bad name for ourselves. We have to admit that our fellow Africans actually are quite disappointed in us. I know I have a lot of foreign friends. I'm a university student. I have a lot of foreigners in my class, and we discuss these issues, and they actually state how they feel about South Africans, and most of them are really, really disappointed in the manner in which we behave. Because obviously, yes, it is a few people who behave that way in terms of this is xenophobia and stuff, but it also taints into the whole society as a whole. Because when they look at this, they don't say a few people in Alexandra or in Soweto, they say in South Africa there was xenophobic incidents where foreigners got banned and killed. So I think we've created a bad name for ourselves, really.
um as for me, when it comes to the, I think it's more of the media. The South African media is the one that made a bad name for us. The reason why I say this is that when they themselves report, they don't just say, okay, um, um, for like criminals in Alexandra did this, they attacked a person. Instead, they would say criminals in I mean, they would say South Africans attacked foreign nationals. They burnt them, they did this and they did that. And on top of that, they do not discuss what was the driving factor behind it. And instead, when they discuss such things, they talk about mediocre things like, oh no, they take their women, that's why they attack them. Of which South Africans are like, what do you mean we are attacking you because you're taking our women? What do you mean we are attacking you because this and this and this and that? Of which mediocre things are being discussed by our media, and they're like fueling hate a lot. And even
Yes.
when it comes to the situation, like Elvis Nyati's situation, is in my own opinion, that was not a xenophobic attack. This is my opinion. In my opinion, that was more of a not vigilante. It was more of mob justice. The reason why I say this is because apparently the community in Deep Sloop are saying that Elvis was part of those who probably killed the South Africans there, right? And they are reacting towards that. And we know that even in other communities, they do that to fellow South Africans of whom they think are also committing crimes. Or am I lying?
I hear you, my
Because
sister.
because
I think
Elvis,
this thing of foreigners coming into South Africa, it can be a blessing um, in a way that if you look at, for example, America, that country actually rose to become what it is, and they strive of foreigners who come into the country and uplift the country. So I think as South African, we also have to take this as a blessing to have so many people in our country. But our government is not taking advantage of this. Instead, this foreign thing, it's becoming it's becoming a curse, I think, on us now, of which it should be a blessing instead, because we can actually grow our economy. We don't have much population in South Africa. I think it can grow on that. So yeah, I think it can be a blessing and a curse depending on the conditions of the country. And our conditions are not good right now with the highest unemployment, of which is being blamed on foreign nationals, of which I think it's not fair.
Mhm. Okay. So like when it comes to that, like what you just mentioned now, um, so basically, in my own opinion, the influx of foreign nationals, yes, it can be a blessing, but under certain circumstances. So, under which circumstances do I think it can be a blessing? It can be a blessing if they come in and bring skills, right? But then, if
Yes.
we have unskilled people coming into the country, how will that benefit the economy? For example, even America that you mentioned, they don't just openly allow unskilled people to come in. You need to have certain skills for you to be accepted into America. And then we see what the previous government did when like migrants from even the neighboring Brazil, when they prevented them, even still now they're trying so hard for them not to just like flog into America just like that. Why? Because some of them, if not most of them, are not bringing in the necessary skills that they need and that they believe will help to
That's why
develop
I'm
their
saying
own.
in our situation, it's not a blessing, it is a curse actually. But with a proper government, you can change that. You can change that.
Of which that's what we need here in South Africa. That's why I am advocating that we should what's this? Make sure that we vote in a new government to see what they can be able to offer. Yes, change is very scary, but we should try something different and advocate for that. And we should also encourage like our brothers from Zimbabwe, since today it's just we're focusing on them, even though we are abroad. Um, to also encourage them to vote, because I was honestly disappointed. I think last month, I think it was in March, if I'm not mistaken, where they had a very low voter turnout. However, I was relieved when the result came out like that at least a different administration won a majority of the votes. So we should also encourage them that as much as whatever that is happening here, they should also be willing to vote in order to be able to see the change that they are seeking for. Even with our government, I think one thing we have seen, and you have mentioned it yourself, is that we as South Africans, we strike when we don't agree with something. But then, how has protesting helped us? it has helped us to a certain extent, but then we can see that for us to reach a certain level, we need to just get a different government into position. And the only way to do that in a democratic country is to just vote in a new government. So that's what he said.
Um,
Mm.
yes, in terms of Zimbabwe, I think it's gonna be really difficult to get Mnangagwa out of there. I don't think he will also just let go of power like that because he has the backing of the army in Zimbabwe. So he's gonna stay in power. But I think if Zimbabweans didn't learn from South Africans and how we approach the apartheid government, they should learn from Swaziland right now. What's happening in Swaziland? People are actually trying to. They're tired of the king. Basically, they want a democratic government. They want to start voting. Um, yeah, I think Zimbabwe should probably take that approach and start facing their fears and facing their government because even if they do go on voting polls. I don't think Mnangagwa will let go of power.
You as for like okay, let's think of discuss about the situation around it. Do you see how Zimbabweans are so active in South Africa, and they're so active to a point whereby almost every week, if not every 2 weeks, you hear a story on the news that okay, a Zimbabwean lawyer took the South African government to court. They took this person to court. I'm just asking myself, why are they not being this reluctant in their own countries? I'm not trying to
Obviously,
divide, but
In South Africa, we have very strong institutions, independent institutions, and they know that. That's why they take our government to court, of which is something they can't do in Zimbabwe because obviously, probably the institutions they are influenced by the government. But they know in South Africa, our institutions are very like powerful in terms of independence, and they're not really influenced that easily.
okay. So why is it that like I understand what you're saying, but as you say, they could learn from what Swaziland is doing. If they really want change, and just taking the government to court in Zimbabwe won't work, then why are the people not mobilizing and going to show how much they really want this government out? Because what we are seeing is just them just running away from the situation. They're
Yeah,
just moving
you have
away
to
from the
understand,
situation.
my sister, that Zimbabweans are not the same as South Africans.
How are they
With us,
different?
obviously, we under the struggle of apartheid, we've learned to have that resilience in government. Whoever is in charge, we most have that resilience. But I think people of Zimbabwe, I don't know if I'm using this term correctly. I think they're more like, um, how can I put this? Um, they're more reserved, I guess. They're more reserved kind of people. They're not violent or loud or not used to that protesting culture that we South African are used to. So yeah, I guess that's the situation right now.
Mm. Yeah, I honestly think that the situation in Zimbabwe is really upsetting, and I'm just wondering what like we can do to help in the situation, if there's anything that we can do, because right now we've seen what's actually happening in the borders, and like I'm already saying that the situation with immigrants, especially our neighboring immigrants, is gaining a lot of momentum. We have seen in a documentary that AfriForum did, in the communities that are around the border, and we saw the damage that was happening there. And obviously, such things as well, they would gain. like they would go viral as well because a lot of people have seen that documentary as well. And like I'm saying, it's fueling a lot of violence. Like how else can we be able to help with such situations? Because when it comes to building another wall, I saw another documentary by Blanc, I think, where they showed one of the borders that were built by like using a wall basically, but then obviously it was still nonsensical because the wall was not complete. However, when you look at that, when cars are hijacked from South Africa and sent to like Zimbabwe or Mozambique, they made a ramp to just move over the wall, of which made it even more nonsensical. And then we're just asking ourselves for us to be able to regulate immigration in order to control whatever that's happening in South Africa, or to put whatever that's happening in South Africa under control. Then what is it that we can do to help with that? How can we help with that? If anyone um, has a suggestion on that, I would really appreciate, and like a different input. I would appreciate a different view from mine. I am willing to learn, as I always say, so we can also learn from each other. Um, okay, so Senzeni says, okay, illegal immigration is based on economic issues which drive down labor costs, and even though it's voluntary, the wages are slave wages. This is true. Um, we've seen it even in the news recently. I think even yesterday or the day before yesterday, it was reported by ENCA, if I'm not mistaken, where the like basically the farm owners or managers, those the people that hire the farm workers, basically, they explicitly stated that they prefer hiring foreign nationals because, well, they charge less. Whatever that they are willing to offer them, they accept it. So I do agree with what Tanzania is saying, that it's this, like, they literally just accept any slave wage and they can't even challenge that. They can't even go against that, like, okay, no, they are paying us less because they don't have the necessary documentation and they are afraid of um, getting caught for being in the country illegally in the first place. So they can't even contest that. And another thing about this is that when these employers employ um, like foreign nationals for slave wage, then it means that South Africans that were supposed to be employed in those positions are not employed in them. Of which, honestly, yes, that also leads to the increased unemployment rate that we already have in the country. And another thing, again, is with regards to the businesses that are being opened here. We all know that according to our law, not like if you are a foreign national opening a business in South Africa, you need to meet certain requirements, of which one of those requirements is that you must have a minimum of 5 million rand to invest right in the business, I think. And then another requirement is that you must hire majority of South Africans. So with that being said, I remember there is, I think around 2019, if I'm not mistaken, when the xenophobic story again gained momentum, where South Africans were saying that they were actually going, apparently they were going against or after Nigerians. And then I remember it was all over the news basically. And then this Nigerian guy who has government tenders in South Africa went to a news channel in Nigeria stating that when he receives a government tender, I was so touched by this because he was bold about this. When he receives a government tender, he boldly says that a South African would charge a certain amount of money. Let me just say for interest sake, let me say 500 rand for interest sake. And then he'll say, well, another like a foreign national will come and charge 300 rand for the same job. And then he proudly said it himself that he would go for the foreign national because they are charging less for the same job, of which that goes against the same contract that he signed, that if he gets such a thing, then majority of the people being employed should be South African. Instead, he does the opposite. Why? So that he can keep more money from the tender, of which that's what South Africans are going against. And another problem again that's fueling a lot of trouble is that how come did a foreign national get a government tender? If it was a private tender, that will make sense. It's private, and the aim is just to make business. But even at that, the role like the rules or the laws state that you should hire like majority of South Africans, and on top of that, obviously we know that um in the labor laws, South Africans have a certain amount of minimal wage, and you can't go below that. You can go above that, you can give them more, but you can't give them less than that. And we can see that we have people exploiting that. And this is causing a lot of problems within the communities. And if we're not going to speak out against the wrongs that we see and we try to sugarcoat them, then the situation is going to get worse. So, okay, guys, I'm going to send in the link again on the chat box. Please check it out and just follow the link to join in and give your own opinion about the situation as well. I would honestly love to hear other people's views. You don't have to agree with me. Just give me your own view, give me your own opinion about this situation. I would really appreciate it. So yeah, so with regards to that as well, and another thing about the businesses thingy that I've already mentioned is with regards to the spaza shops, like informal um shops basically. If you're not like South African, you're not supposed to open such shops in the country. As much as South Africans can't go to, like, for example, Zimbabwe and open a spaza shop, because even the government there in Zimbabwe, I remember there was a tweet by President Mnangagwa, if I'm not mistaken, where he allegedly said that um, what's this investments, or like Zimbabwe is open for investment, and that minimal jobs are reserved for the locals. He also mentioned about the what's this the I think he also mentioned about the businesses, how small businesses are also reserved for like the locals as well, and that you as an investor should what's this should um you should have a certain amount of money in order to invest in the country, and in order for you to open the business, and you just can't come and open minimal business there just to take advantage of the locals. So okay, Senzeni again. So okay, it's very simple. Everyone who's working and is employed by a firm or a company, the company must be fined 500,000 rand per person, but Ramaphosa works for European interests. I also feel that way. I am honestly disappointed with Ramaphosa's leadership. When he came into power in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, I was so hopeful that he will probably do better. I'm sorry to say that I am disappointed with his performance, and I feel like he's just not in the level of the people. I feel like he just can't even relate. I honestly feel that way. And I feel like he's just nonchalant about the situations affecting South Africans. For example, with the July riot or looting that happened, um, the government ordered a lot of foreigners to go after the South Africans to get like to take the food that was looted there. And on top of that, I was so disappointed that they later destroyed the food that was there already. Why take it back just to destroy it? What was the sole purpose of it? Because like at first when they took the food, I thought that maybe they want to like resell the food at a lower price in order to help the economy here and there. But I was so disappointed to have them destroy it. Yes, Sean.
Yes, in terms of Ramaphosa and the presidency, I think we have to understand that Ramaphosa's presidency is probably the most challenging in comparing with all the other previous presidents in South Africa. In terms of the circumstances that Ramaphosa as a president has to face, the pandemic and people losing their jobs. Obviously, a lot of people were disappointed in his administration because it is difficult. You can't deny that. For him and for his presidency, it's the most challenging time. But still doesn't mean that we can accept uh, the level of performance in our government that is currently there. I think it's very poor. All the problems we have right now, they all boil down to our government failing to do their job.
I admit, I really admit. So basically, Ramaphosa is at the top of the government. He is the one that has the power to appoint the people in his cabinet as well, I think. But question is, what has he done about that? So the reason why I say he's a disappointment to me, is that I feel like he has not been exercising his powers as he was supposed to.
Yes, you have to understand, even though he's the president, he can't take decisions on his own. He has to consult with the ruling party, which is the top six of the ANC. So that's where major decisions are taken. Um, so, yes, we can blame him up to a certain extent. I think we have to blame the ANC because that's where major decisions are taken regarding the country going forward or not, even though he has the power. But we have to understand that major decisions are not taken by him alone. It's the ANC.
Yeah, that's actually also true as well. That yes, I think, yeah, they do that. They come together as a cabinet and discuss about these things, and then a decision is made. Yeah, and we can still also agree that he hasn't been exercising his powers as he's supposed to, because I think at the end he has the ultimate say. As
And
much as
another
they
thing
are,
I can say about him, his term, he has been a reactive president instead of being an active president. So he doesn't foresee any risk or situations that we might face in the future. Instead, they react to what happened. So that's
yes,
another thing that I've observed with Ramaphosa in his term as president.
that's also true. And guys, so by mentioning his term as a president, this reminds me, how do you guys feel about Ramaphosa planning to run for second term? What's your opinion about that? I like. Do you want to? Do you think he deserves another chance or?
Uh, According to me, yes, he does, because
Okay.
4 years is not enough. First of all,
No, he
to
doesn't. He
do
didn't have 4 years. Sorry to interrupt. He didn't have
yes,
4 years because remember, immediately Jacob Zuma stepped down. He took in, I think, if not a year, that 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, he got his own term as well. And then now he wants another one.
Zuma was taken out a few months, 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, 6 months before like he could step down. So it doesn't count that much. There was only 6 months of Zuma's term that Ramaphosa took over. Then after that 6 months, his term started. So yeah, I think in since he's been in office, it's not really enough time. I think what we have to look at, this thing of, I don't really agree that much, this thing of president becoming a president for 4 years, then he has to step down, someone else has to come in, because it's really a short space of time. 4 years is really not enough to implement or do whatever you want to do as a president or as a leader of a country. That's why certain countries end up like having presidents who serve more than 16, 20 years sometimes, because I think 4 years is really not enough. So I think Ramaphosa should have a second term, and I believe it's already in the bag. I
I
think
hope
so.
not.
It's already in the bag. Trust me. As much
Guys,
as I
let
don't
us
want him
vote
to have a
Ramaphosa
second term,
out.
but yeah, I
Mhm.
think it's already in the bag. I also don't support him, but
Mm,
he's still our president. We have to be behind him. So
mm. Okay, and Nomfunego says Ramaphosa does not have any vision for our country. I admit. That's why I feel like I don't think he deserves a second term. I feel like he's more focused into securing the bag, and I think he has been doing that. You know,
but that's that's what all the presidents have done. Yes, they do their job, but they also secure the bag. We can't
which is
deny that.
true. But then I honestly can't point to what Ramaphosa did. I can't point.
It's
I can't
because of the
pinpoint.
situations. It's because of the pandemic and like what has been happening this past 2, 3 years. I think that's what actually set back Ramaphosa and what he wanted to do for the country. Now he has to focus on the pandemic and these lockdowns and whatever.
Hmm. And then Senzeni says, if we allow Ramaphosa to run again, kiss our country goodbye because he does not know what he is doing. The party is rotten and mustn't be allowed in power again. What do you have to say about that?
The party, yes, but we can't blame one person. As much as they blame Zuma for what happened during the state capture, but it wasn't him alone. It was the party. The entire ANC is responsible for the state capture. So I don't think it's fair to blame Ramaphosa, because it's the party that takes decision. It's not him. He's not a dictator.
Yeah, that's true. And then Nomfuneka again says, okay, he dreams about building bullet trains and smart cities when he can't even eradicate pit toilets. Yo,
Guys,
that's heat after heat, guys. Yeah,
these people must come online. Use the link, guys. Come
yeah,
online
guys,
and
come
share your thoughts.
online.
Oh, share your thoughts and stop like typing behind your phones.
Yeah, and honestly, I really hope this situation about like the pit toilets get really solved because honestly it's an embarrassment um for South Africans to call themselves a developed country if their president is not even like dealing with small things as in like the pit toilet. Why do we still have pit latrines in this 2022? yeah, it's a very huge disappointment, a very huge one. So
Yeah, I think when it comes to certain things, a friend of mine once told me that there's nothing for free, guys. There's nothing for free. If you could look at the suburbs, um, the service there, it's different from the townships. And if you can check why is that people are paying tax there. That's why they
mm,
get these such services. But in the townships, we expect to get everything for free, um, of which it's not going to happen. The township is going to remain like that until the people just decide to wake up and do for themselves. Because here in South Africa right now, we're even facing a problem that in the entire African continent, South Africa, South African youth is the least in the list in terms of starting new businesses. So we at the bottom. The youth of South Africa is at the bottom when compared to other African countries in terms of starting new businesses, new small businesses. So that should also tell you something about the mindset of South Africans in terms of waiting for the government to give them everything, and it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
it's not going to happen. So I can see Pesci is trying to connect. So I think it says, yeah, you would need to connect the mic before, yeah, you need to connect your mic, Pesci. It's your mic is not connected to the live stream. So
Okay,
yeah,
can we go back to the Zimbabwe and South African immigration debate then?
yes, most definitely, most definitely. Um, so another thing that I think we can discuss about around there. What's your thought about the border situation, like what's happening around the borders between the two countries? What's your take on it?
I think the border doesn't exist, honestly. There is no border. It's just maybe a pretense border, I think. Because if
Mm.
we can go there and look, if you check the pictures from the border, there is no border. It's just a fence, which
An
is,
embarrassing one for that matter.
and you see, there's actually no border.
Mm.
I think there was a time this year when the Home Affairs announced that they're not going to renew the work permits of certain individuals, certain Zimbabweans, and
Mm-hmm.
people were stuck in the border
Oh.
trying to get in, and
Mm.
it ended up people getting in by force. So they just went into SA. The officials couldn't stop them. There were just too many people, so they just went in.
Okay. When was this situation?
When our Minister of Home Affairs, when he announced that they won't be renewing any work permits for certain Zimbabweans. That's
Mm.
why now in our like basic education, we're
Mm-hmm.
facing a serious problem, a serious shortage of maths and physics teachers, of which we got from Zimbabwe. Since
Mm-hmm.
they're not renewing the work permits, the basic education is just under pressure with those two subjects.
Okay. So when you mentioned that we are like undersourced of like maths and science teachers, so I'm not sure if, yeah, I'm sure you are aware of this, that we do have a lot of teachers who are unemployed. Do you think that amongst all of those teachers, the qualified teachers, we don't have maths and science teachers?
Yes, that's the problem. We do have a lot of teachers who are qualified, but are they qualified in these subjects? What I've noticed is that, let me say, matriculants who actually do maths and physics in high school, when going to varsity, they don't actually do education. They prefer doing engineering or computer science or anything else related to maths and physics, either than teaching maths and physics. I think we do have a lot of teachers, but not in that field. That's why we had a lot of Zimbabweans in our schools teaching maths and physics.
Okay. I don't know about that. I can't comment much on it. But then when it comes to like us having maths and science teachers coming from other countries, this is my opinion on this. Maths and science teachers were brought into South Africa um, early on when like early on in like democracy in a way to promote maths and science in the country. Because if you remember very well, basically most of our parents had to do the Bantu education where they were not allowed to do sciences, and they were doing like other subjects, just not sciences. And then now, when the new government came in, they insourced people who are going to help with that. Obviously, at that time, we didn't have the necessary skills to be able to do it. But then, right now, I don't know if I can say the same. Just as much we can say the same thing about doctors then. We didn't have enough doctors then. But right now, I don't know if I can say the same. The situation is different now. The dynamics have changed.
Yes, yes, things have changed. Things have changed, but we haven't really covered that backlog that we have after apartheid of not having maths and physics teachers. We haven't really covered that.
Okay. I don't know.
I know this because I study education myself. I'm doing
Mhm.
my master's in technology education. So I actually know this that we have a shortage of maths and science teachers because a lot of students who are doing maths and science in high school, they'd rather do engineering and something else related to science, but not teaching.
Not
That's
teaching.
what I've noticed in like doing research and stuff.
Okay. So when you say doing research and stuff, have you also probably researched around the situation where the foreign teachers that you're talking about actually did study teaching in order to teach this subject? Because if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me since you are in the education field. If someone studied let's say um what's this engineering, for example, I like that person can do the 1 year course where that would qualify them to be teachers. That certificate, like the SA, I can't remember certificate. I'm sure you
It's
probably
it's it's
know.
PGCE. It's called PGCE Postgrad Certificate. Yes,
Yeah,
PGCE.
that one that will allow them to study teaching. Um, can't those and like the foreign teachers doing that to come and teach the sciences in South Africa, or are they doing teaching specifically just to be able to teach the science subjects?
They're actually doing teaching. Most of them, they're actually doing teaching. They're not
Okay.
doing engineering because coming to SA, getting jobs such as in the field of engineering won't be that difficult for them because we have scarce, like we have shortage of that. So these people actually do teaching. And another thing that I think I should raise is that yes, as much as after apartheid we did try to improve as Black South Africans, um, but most of our old teachers, they're not really qualified that much. Most of them have diplomas from colleges because they studied in teaching colleges. It's only now, after a few years, that teachers are actually going to university and getting a 4 year B.Ed degree to actually teach. But what I've noticed is that those old teachers that started teaching, maybe let's say in 98 or 2000, they're not really qualified that much.
Mm, okay. Yeah, Senzeni would love to leave us. Thank you for joining, Senzeni. The session will also come to an end soon. But yeah, so yeah, I understand what you're saying. But then, just to ask again, when it comes to that teaching, was there a degree for teaching that time? Because most of
Yes,
teachers,
there was no degree for teaching. There were
so why do we say that?
courses. college diplomas.
So if that's the case, then why do we say they are less qualified if that was how teachers were expected to study?
Yes,
Or
if at that time, teachers were expected to do that, but things have changed. So that means they're not qualified to that certain extent. There are certain things that they can do. For example, like as I said, I'm doing my research in technology education, and those teachers they're not even interested in trying to use technology in their teaching, to use ICT tools. So it shows that they're not really qualified that much, honestly.
so does this only apply to South African teachers?
I'm not sure because I haven't I'm focusing on South Africans.
And in my opinion, I don't think this only applies to South African teachers. Obviously, I haven't done research on
Yes,
this, but I don't think it only applies to South African teachers because we know that the teaching system of the past obviously is different from that we have in present, not just in South Africa only, because there's always involvement in education. Yeah. So I don't think it only applies to South Africans. And with that being
yeah,
said, I don't think it's fair to say that um, what's this like foreign teachers themselves are way much better than South African teachers. If we right now are doing the things that you're saying, it doesn't make sense to me because if you check as
I'm
well
not
with
saying they're better. I'm not saying they're better, my sister. I'm just
mm,
saying currently they are more qualified than us. And besides being more qualified, they are qualified in certain fields that we are not qualified at.
okay, so in this instance, I would assume like technology, like you mentioned, but like as for me, as
Physics and science, which is the
yes,
most
physics and
important,
science.
physics and science.
So I don't necessarily agree to what you're saying that they are more qualified in physics and sciences. I don't agree to that. But then I would agree if you say they have more people who qualify in those, not that they are more qualified than us, because you yourself are saying that there's only a few, but you can't say that they are more qualified. We can say that we have more of those because you say they studied specifically to teach those subjects. And then our
Yes,
people tend to go into do other things. So it's not necessarily
yes,
that they are less
yes,
qualified. We just have more people who studied teaching from outside and more South Africans, instead of going to teaching itself, they are doing other um, subjects, for example, like your engineering, they are going into the health fields instead of just
yes, yes.
specifically just doing teaching.
You know, there's that mentality. We still have that mentality that if you choose to become a teacher, then because we never saw like in growing up in the township, we never had like lawyers and doctors staying amongst our community. The people who stay amongst our community are teachers, maybe nurses, and they're not really living a well-off life compared to other professions. So that gave black people that mentality to to have that mentality for teaching. Or it doesn't really pay that much. You don't really live. Uh, you do live a good life, but not too. They don't really like compared to other professionals. So I think
Yeah.
we still have that mentality of when you're doing teaching, that means like it's probably maybe your second option, or it wasn't something that you originally wanted. So now you fall into teaching. So I think that also stigma or stereotyping has to stop amongst us.
Yeah, I do admit that our government has to make like basically studying teaching itself lucrative for most young South Africans to go into the profession. So yeah, thank you guys for coming into the show. I really enjoyed this session, and it's so nice hearing other people's opinions. Like I always say, you don't necessarily have to agree with me. It's good to have like opposing opinions as to learn from each other, because that's the aim for us to be able to come up with a solution to this problem. We must be able to listen to each other and get where the root cause of that problem could be. Then from there, come up with something that we think can be able to work um, for the both parts and work in a positive way, basically, and benefit all of us. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for coming in. So don't forget to like, comment, and share, and also to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let us grow this family. So yeah, thank you so much, Sean, for coming. I really appreciate it, and thank you to everyone else. I see you on the
Thank
comment
you for this
section.
platform, and I hope to do it again soon.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, we'll be having more of this engagement in more topics, and you can also come up with suggestions, guys. You can drop whatever on the in the comment sections. I'll see it, and yeah, we'll see what we can do about it. So thank you once again. Yeah. Okay, Nomfunego, thank you for opening this platform. Next time I might come into the room. Yes, come into the room. It will be so nice to have more people giving in their own views. I would really appreciate it. I really enjoy engaging with you guys. Thank you so much. So, okay, I would love to love and leave you guys. Bye.